Basement Talk. I love the name of this series. Hey, how y'all doing? You good? You look good. You good? Man, you know, it's hard enough to get to church on your day off, but you all show up to church on your day off looking good. During worship, I was looking at you, Mr. Ted. I'm sorry, but I'm like, man, look at his shirt. Look at Mr. Ted's shirt. He's got Marlins on it. Like, you can look at Instagrammable, Mr. Ted. I love it. But you guys are showing up to church looking good on your day off. I love that. And, man, I was outside when people were walking in, and there's so many new people coming to this church. All kinds of new people. And so, like, I love that. So if this is your first time here, or maybe you're joining us online right now, or this could be your second week here. Maybe you came to Easter last weekend and you came back because you want to see if there's Reese eggs on to see every weekend. No, that's a once-a-year thing, all right? Not in the budget, all right? But we're glad you're here, and so glad you guys are in the building. So glad you guys are watching online. And so can we just give it up for our first-timers, our second-timers, our third-timers, everybody online, you guys. Let me start out this way. Did you know this really is a basement? Like, for real. You're not just like under a sub shop right now. You are underground under a sub shop right now in here. But there's no pollen in here. Can I get a high five right now? Like, come on. No, this is a basement. I mean, if you weren't sure, look at these plumbing pipes right here. Those are plumbing pipes. And by the way, if that pipe bursts during the service, that ain't going to be a blessing, okay? Like this whole section, you're going to need a tetanus shot or something. I don't know what that is. But this really is a basement, which is why we're starting this new series today called Basement Talk, because for the next few weeks, we're going to talk about our basement. We're going to talk about our church. And I named this message, and we'll put this on the screen. I named this message, A Church or My Church? A church or my church? Now, speaking of my, I do this like every week, but where are my parents at in the basement? If you have a kid, any kind of kid, a good kid, a bad kid, you just raise your hand. No, don't point at your bad kid, okay? All right, lots of parents in the room. Listen, if you're a parent, especially if you have a young kid, like if you have one of these current model kids, you know, these modern kids, you know, the kids that didn't grow up with like playing with a wood burning kit. The kids that didn't grow up with a fourth grade teacher who had a wooden paddle with holes drilled in it for maximum velocity. Come on, who knew about that paddle? Remember that paddle? Oh, did you all have Miss Welch too? Oh yeah, you did, Sean? Or you remember? Oh, buddy, my teacher was armed and dangerous in fourth grade. Listen, these modern kids, they don't know how good they got it. They have no idea. Listen, they got their iPhones. They got their fidget spinners. They got no paddles, and they got no high fructose corn syrup. Okay, they are living the dream, you guys. And my kids, I love my kids to death. They could be watching this at home. My daughter was sick this morning, so they had to stay home. I love my kids, but my kids think that my goal in life is to clean up their mess. Come on, parents, give me a preach it preacher, if you know what I'm talking about. Preach it preacher. And so my kids, listen, their favorite thing in life is to get in my car and throw trash everywhere. I'm convinced that they stuff their pockets full of trash. And then the moment their 46-pound little butts touch their bumper seats, okay, or booster seats, they're like, woo! They throw trash everywhere. They spill their drinks. They kick the back of my seat. They write, help me on the windows. Yeah, state troopers think that's hilarious. I'm going to get pulled over and tased one of these days. I know it. I am. And so look, the adults, like now, not only did we get paddled in fourth grade, we got tased by the cops. And our kids are sitting there, you know, drinking their non-GMO, locally sourced apple juice, okay? Like, but anyway, my kids just love to like destroy my car. And my pet peeve in life is like my kids messing up my car. And I'm like normally like a little OCD about my car. But I just got a new car. So now, listen, if my kids throw trash in my car, I will tase somebody. I will, like, they don't have, my car is no fun zone anymore. Like, my kids aren't allowed to bring anything in it, no food. They're not allowed to have any drinks. If they kick my seat, I will kick their favorite toy. If they write "help me" on my new windows, listen, I will go through the drive-thru window at McDonald's and buy myself one Happy Meal and make them watch me eat it. Okay, I am not kidding. Like, I am crazy about my car. And you know why I'm crazy about my car? Because it's my car. That's why I'm a little crazy about my car. Now, am I a little overkill? Everybody say yes. Just say yes. Okay. Somebody say no. All right. That's my brother. Whoever said that, I don't know. But I'm a little crazy about my car. So you can imagine how crazy I was 2 weekends ago where after church, we went to the Aldi because our family, like, listen, Aldi, come on. We love Aldi. So we went over there and our family's shopping in the Aldi. And so, like, we're in there for an hour-ish. And I come out after being in the Aldi, my favorite place on earth, and the back door to my car was wide open. Now, when I said my back door, what I really meant to say was Nixon's back door. And so, and listen, we live in the seagull capital of the world. I imagine the seagulls getting in my car, eating all the fries. My kids, it just dropped all over the place, okay? So I'm 99% sure I didn't say a cuss word, but I'm 100% sure I thought one, okay? And so I'm like, Nixon, you left my car door open. And Nixon, he knows I'm crazy about my car. So he's like, Daddy, it's okay. And Stacy said, Daddy, it's okay. And Nora said, Daddy, it's okay. And then Nixon said, Daddy, are you okay? And Stacy said, Daddy, you're okay. Nora said, Daddy, you're okay. I'm like, no, I'm not okay. I need therapy right now. Like, Nixon, you're going to have to Uber yourself home. You are not getting in my car with seagull poop all in it right now. Come on, who would have had a little bit of a reaction? Who would have reacted a little bit? Okay, I'm glad none of you all stole my car while I was up in there at Aldi with the door open. And here's my point. Here's why I said that whole story. Because if you notice, when something is yours, when something is mine, we care about it more. Yep. Have you noticed this before? Yep. I'm going to prove it because some of you aren't really sure. Who here has ever rented a rental car? So you know, you have a rental, you aim for potholes, don't you? You're like going over 7 lanes, like, bam, got it, hit one. But listen, if it is your car, you will cause a 7-car pileup at the outlets trying to avoid a pothole. Am I right? Why? Because it's a rental. Listen, if your kids have, dirty feet and you have a rental, you're like, kids, get in the car. Just kick the back of the seat. Just get all the dirt. Get it all on the rental, right? But if it's your car, you're like, listen, I will pull this car over so fast, kids. Because when something is yours, when something is mine, we care about it more. Is this true? Are you tracking with me? Yeah. So here's my tie-in with this. All right, little basement talk. You know why I love my church? Because you all treat this place like this is my church, not like it's a rental. You guys love this place, okay? Like, you all are inviting people. That's why all these people are in here. You all are inviting people. You're like, oh, you gotta come to my church. It's, the band is amazing. Their people are friendly. Now, the pastor's a little weird. Come on, you warn people about the pastor before you get here. Like, I know you do. I know. But I am so thankful that you guys care about this place. I can tell by how you treat it. I can tell by how you treat me. And I'll just give one example on this. I don't know if you noticed, but if you ever looked in the woods, we have a woods back there. I like to call it a meadow, because it sounds better. We have a meadow back there. We also have the world's longest handicap ramp out there. I don't know if you've seen that. And we have a parking lot up here. If you've ever really looked, listen, I believe all the trash within a 37-mile radius ends up at our church. I mean, I think there is a wind vortex. I'm pretty sure Dan Satterfield talked about it. All right, there's a wind vortex that brings all the trash of Rehoboth Beach directly to Bay Shore. Have you seen some trash out there? Yes. And so all the trash is at our door. So last weekend, last Saturday before Easter services, George, and I know Nate, and I don't know who else, they spent hours picking up all the trash outside. Hours. So this place would look like the Hilton on Easter, you guys. And this is true, 100% true. George can verify this. Nate found some men's underwear in the parking lot upstairs. Listen, I don't know who lost their drawers. But somebody here lost their drawers, all right? So, but listen, that's true. He found men's underpants upstairs. And Nate, listen, the only reason I know Nate came to clean up at the church, he didn't tell me. I never asked anybody to do this, but Kristen, who's on our team, came and took a picture of Nate when Nate was like mid cleanup, so he did a little pose with his stuff right there. And don't you love that George and Nate, don't you love these guys that they did this? I mean, I just think that's amazing. And by the way, that was your underpants, all right? You should really love Nate because he picked up your tighty whities, all right? So, but one of the things that I'm biased, but one of the things I love about this place, this church is built on people who are like, man, that's my church. That's my home right there. And I think that's one of the things that makes our basement electric, all right? And maybe you're here and you're like, this ain't really my church. This is my rental. I'm just here for the free perks. I'm here for the free coffee, the free childcare. Woo! I'm here because I heard there's like free underpants they give out in the upstairs or whatever. Listen, if that's you, I'm not mad at you. I am glad you're here no matter why you are here. And I just want to tell you that at some point in the future, if you're looking for a church to be your home, if you want a church to be your place, man, we would love that to be here. Whenever you're ready for that, okay? Because I don't want you to miss out on what God's doing in his church. And so I just love our church. Now, speaking of the church, I want to take you back to the original church in the Bible. We're going to be in Acts this morning, and we're going to be in Acts 6. Now, let me give you a little timeline so you kind of know. This is the original church. The church had just started. The church had just had its grand opening. Jesus had risen from the dead, and a few months later, the church started. And so this is a grand opening, baby. And there's like 20,000 people who were at the church a few months after the church started. And that's a lot of people. And you know what they say? Mo people, mo problems. Is that how it goes? I'm not sure if that's how it goes. But we're about to have our first church problem. Oh, buddy. All right, so Acts chapter 6, starting in verse 1. It says this: as the believers rapidly multiplied, there were what? What were there? Rumblings of discontent. And the Greek-speaking believers, what did they do? They complained about the Hebrew-speaking believers, all right? So they're like pointing at each other, saying that their widows were being discriminated against in the daily distribution of food. And so we got our first church fight, people. Now we got a church right here, all right? And so one group of people is mad at another group of people because things aren't fair. And with the food distribution, like I don't know what happened. Maybe Sister Susie got extra Dunkin' Donut munchkins in the church foyer, and somebody else didn't. And so there's a church fight. Now, have you noticed that church people can complain with the best of them? You notice this? Now, none of you guys, none of you guys. But the people who skipped today, there are complainers. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Well, listen, I know that like church people can complain with the best of them. But do you know anybody in your life who's like a professional complainer? You know any of these people? Yeah. Butch. Butch has called himself out. At least he's honest. Listen, there's people who if complaining was a professional sport, they would be the Tom Brady of it. You know what I mean? And they're in your family, aren't they? They're the ones at Thanksgiving dinner that complain about the turkey being dry, but they didn't bring anything to Thanksgiving dinner. All they brought was Tupperware so they can bring the turkey home. Who has this person in your family? You have them. I know you do. Every family has one. And every church has a Tom Brady of complaining. Now, I learned this back in the day. Before I was a pastor here, I was the church administrator at our Millsboro campus. And to this day, the most stir-the-pot controversial thing I ever did was put the coat rack in storage in the summer of 2010. You want to hear about that story? Okay, so here's what happened. I thought this is safe. I can make the decision as the administrator, put the coat rack in the storage closet because it's June. It's almost as hot as my wife outside. Like, nobody's gonna be wearing a coat. And so I put the coat rack in the storage closet. And that first Sunday, all right, and listen, it's June. It's 98 degrees out. It is so hot outside, a boy band named their band 98 degrees. All right, it is hot. Surely nobody's going to show up to church in their mink coat, right? Wrong. Because this guy shows up, and let's just pretend his name is Bill. Because his name was Bill, okay? So Bill shows up, and guess what Bill's wearing? His coat. And so Bill comes in to church, and he's in the church foyer, okay? And so, like, big surprise, Bill's hot. So Bill takes his jacket off, and he goes to hang it on the coat rack. Is the coat rack there? No. So Bill goes to the little desk thingy in our church lobby in Millsboro, and he's talking to Cindy. He's like, Cindy, we got a problem. We have a coat rack emergency. I need to talk to who's in charge of the coat rack. And Cindy said, oh, that would be Joel right there. It's like, thanks, Cindy. So Bill comes over carrying his coat, and he's like, I can't believe you put the coat rack in the storage closet. Like, what are you thinking? Who's in charge of this place? I was like, Jesus. So I can talk to him for you if you want, Bill, because it doesn't sound like you talked to him recently, you know what I'm saying? No, I didn't say that. I thought it. But listen, every church has a Tom Brady complaining. Every family has a Tom Brady of complaining. And in Acts chapter 6, you have these people who are complaining because the food is wrong, or the coat rack disappeared, or the music is too loud. So I don't know. All I know is that when there's mo people, there is mo problems. Okay, and don't miss this. This is so important. This comforts me as a pastor. This is the first church which is led by the disciples. These are guys who personally knew Jesus. They would go to the IHOP with Jesus. They knew what Jesus would order. They were personally friends with Jesus, and their church wasn't perfect, which means our church won't be perfect. And listen, there are no perfect churches because there are no perfect people. No perfect people. Like, I heard this guy say one time, he's like, man, church would be a perfect place if no people would go to it. And isn't that true? Look, the church is never going to be a perfect place because the church is not full of perfect people. And what I love about Acts chapter 6 is when you read it, if you look at the old King James Version, and we'll put this on the screen, it doesn't say they complained. It says, I think it's the next one. It says, there arose a murmuring. Where it's coming. There it is. That's what the King James Version says. There arose a murmuring. Everybody say, murmur. That was fun. I'm glad you guys did that. Listen, this word murmur is the same word picture that the Bible gives to the Israelites. When the Israelites are like walking through the desert and they're like, just wandering around and they're like murmuring. Can't believe you, God, rescued us from Egypt. Give us manna every morning, but you're messing up, God. Like complaining, murmur, 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 murmur. Murmur, murmur. Some of you, that's what you sound like in your marriage. Murmur, 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 murmur. Can't believe you can't throw your underpants in the dirty clothes. Can't believe my wife drove through the garage door, didn't even open the garage door. Just murmur, 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 murmur. Some of you, this is how you sound driving down Route 1. Murmur, 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 murmur. Bunch of idiots. Murmur, murmur, murmur. Gas prices, Democrats, Republicans, I don't know, wah, wah, murmur, murmur, murmur. Right? That's what when I go to a restaurant, this is how I murmur. Okay, I'll order. I'll take the whole time, like, oh, this is what I want. Now order it. They'll say, oh, we're sorry, sir, we're out of that. Murmur, 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 murmur. Who does some murmuring? Just give me a murmur if you murmur. We're murmuring. There are rows of murmuring. And here's what I've noticed. When we murmur, we can miss out on the miracles in our life. When we complain, we can miss out on the things to celebrate in our life. Can I give you an example? Can I give you an example? Okay, you can complain about your spouse. Maybe your spouse is messy. They're like Pigpen on Charlie Brown, you know? Or you can celebrate the fact that your partner, your spouse, puts up with all your flaws. You can celebrate that they don't even get mad at you. You leave your toenails all over the house. Some of you do it. Listen, you can complain or celebrate. You can complain that Route 1 is full of a bunch of idiots. Or you can celebrate, murmur. Or you can celebrate that those idiots make the local economy happen. You know, you can complain about, I can complain about Nixon leaving my car door open over there at the Audi, or I can celebrate the fact that my 6-year-old still looks at me like I'm his hero. And that's not going to last forever. And you can murmur and miss the miracle. You can celebrate or you can complain. Now, when you choose to murmur or choose to complain and instead of celebrate, that happens in the church too. We could do this, okay? We could complain that we're all stuffed in here like sardines right now. Somebody's arm hair touched the person next to you's arm hair today, and you're like, I don't even know that person. Are you vaccinated? I don't know. Like what? We can complain about that, or we can celebrate the fact that the last 3 weeks we have broke attendance records. You know what I mean? We can celebrate that. We can complain that we're like in a basement. Or we can celebrate, this is the coolest basement ever, you guys. We can complain that the music's too loud. Or we can celebrate the fact that the person next to us can't hear us singing while we're singing. Come on, that's a win right there. So listen, if you want to get the most out of your church experience, out of your life experience, don't look for something to complain about. Look for something to celebrate about. Don't look for something to murmur about. Look for the miracle. The miracle is 25 people gave their life to Jesus here last weekend. I mean, that's a miracle, right? So that's a miracle. The place is packed out. That's a miracle. There's free childcare here. Come on, parents. That's a miracle. We got to celebrate. I always want to be the church that looks for something to celebrate about and not looks for something to complain about. And you guys are amazing at that. And so I just want to say thank you for being that church that just wants to celebrate. And so I want to be that kind of church. So here's the second part of what I want to talk about today. I love my church because there's so much to celebrate. The second thing is I love my church because so many of you all share in the responsibilities here. So I need everybody to say, you make it happen, Captain. You make it happen, Captain. So when I was a kid, one of my favorite things to do was to go to, when I would go to church, I would like to invite myself over to my friends' houses. I don't know if anybody else did this, but I would talk to my friend Jonah. I'd be like, hey, Jonah, you guys still got those Nutty Buddy bars? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, can you ask your mom if I can come over after church? Anybody ever invite yourself over to your friends' houses when you were kids? I love this all the time. And listen, I pick my friends strategically. Like Jonah was my friend because he had the 3-wheeler. Kurt was my friend because he had the Nintendo, and Matt was my friend because he had a farm in Gumboro, and we used to steal his dad's truck when we were 8 years old and drive it all over the farm. That's true. And I almost died at Matt's house 7 times, and that's also true. But I used to always invite myself to my friends' houses, and what's interesting is my daughter is 8 years old, and she does the same thing now. She'll get off the bus and get in my car, and she'll be like, Daddy, I told Ella to tell her mommy to text my mommy to see if I can come over on Friday night because at Ella's house, Daddy, I can stay up till 1 a.m. I'm like, at least you're not stealing Ella's mom's car. I mean, that's good. That's a win. And so every weekend, or almost every weekend, either my daughter goes to her friend Ella's house or Ella comes over to our house, and we love having Ella over. She's really, she's amazing, and they don't steal my car, so we're all good. Everything is good. But a few weekends ago, Ella was over at our house, and the kids were at the countertop, at our counter, and they were sitting at the countertop, and they had cheese sticks, which they love cheese sticks, and I'm pretty sure they take the cheese sticks wrappers and put them all in their pockets so they can go where? in my car. Cheese stick wrappers everywhere. But they're sitting there eating, and I had this idea. I thought, tomorrow after church, we're going to have a family work day. We're going to pick up sticks, and we're going to rake the leaves. How many of you done some yard work this spring? How many done some yard work? You guys want to do a little more? Work day at the pastor's house next Saturday. No, but I had this idea, and so I was like, hey, kids, eat up. Just get all that food in you. Get a good night's sleep tonight, because tomorrow after church, we are going to rake that backyard. Okay, like we're doing a family work day. All right, now I didn't really mean it for Ella, but Ella just happened to be there. And Ella, she was so funny. She's like, hey, I'm not part of this family. I'm not responsible for that. It's so fast. She said that. And I said, well, you eat my cheese sticks, you pick up sticks. No, I didn't say that. I thought it, but I didn't say it. No, but my kids, they know that they share in the responsibility at the house, and then I just, shower them with love and cheese sticks. That's how it works. But one of the things I want to celebrate about you all is you guys share in the responsibilities here. You share in it. And I love that about our church. And last weekend after our Easter service, which I know Carter said this, but wasn't Easter amazing in this place? Like, oh my goodness. I thought about it all week. And if you weren't here last weekend, I'm going to give you FOMO, because you missed it. It was amazing last weekend. But after the service, I had several people come up to me and were like, oh, Pastor Joel, it was so great. This is so wonderful. You put this whole thing on. I'm thinking, I'm just one of 50 people. I just got to stand up here in a jean jacket, tell jokes, and talk about Jesus, but Butch Ushed, right? Phil Hudson, I don't know if Phil's in the room. Phil Based, Miss Patsy, okay? Now, the Easter bunny, that wasn't a volunteer. That was the real bunny that came. All right, we spare no expense here. But you need to know this about our church. Our church is about one person. That's Jesus. Always going to be about Jesus. But so many people make this church happen, make this church come alive. And I'm so thankful that you guys, you share in the responsibilities. You make it happen, Captain. And so I want to go back to Acts chapter 6. So remember, we just had the food fight about the food. And then this word responsibility shows up in verse 2. So the 12 called a meeting of all the believers. So this is our first church meeting, all right? And they said, we apostles should spend our time teaching the word of God and not running a food program, all right? We're not there to divvy out, the Dunkin' Donuts. That's not us. But so brothers, select 7 men who are well respected and are full of the Spirit and wisdom. In other words, they know how to count the munchkins correctly to divvy that out. And then we will give them this responsibility. Everybody say responsibility. Now, did the church share in the responsibility? Were they working towards getting people to share in the responsibility in this? Is that what happened here? No. Yeah, no. They were trying to share in, they were trying to give people responsibility that they can all play a part in the church. Now, everybody just say this with me. Oh, no. Here comes the volunteer talk. That was so unenthusiastic. Everybody's tight right now, I don't got time for this. Listen, I'm not going to do the volunteer talk today. In fact, if you ever want to serve here, you can sign up to serve any week here. You can go to our kiosk and hit the Take My Next Step button. We'll get you in, man. We'll get you ushering with Butch, all right? And any week you can do that. But I don't want to talk about that today. Because if you noticed that, sharing in the responsibility goes past, ushing, or it can be something different than, picking up some whitey-tighties up in the parking lot upstairs. It can mean more than that. All right, so here's what I mean. I've been a pastor for 9 years. When I started here, I had hair. That's true. There's picture proof of it. All right, I actually had hair. And in the last 9 years, I've learned 2 things about myself. Number 1, I'm balding. Because you all stress me out. It's stressful doing this. But number 2, I'm not the deepest, most intellectual pastor out there. Hello. Everybody's awkward laughing yeah, we know. And listen, the reason for that is simple, okay? It's not because I don't want to be deep and intellectual. The reason is Well, I got the lowest SAT score in the room, all right? That's why. And so what I know is that, like, sometimes people will come here. I've learned this over the last 9 years, and they'll be like, well, I'm just not getting fed here. It's just not deep enough. You know, the pastor's up there talking about love your neighbor and John 3:16. Bleh. Just take me to Leviticus, Pastor. Go deep, Pastor Joe. And listen, I know that. I've heard that before. We actually got we got a pretty serious Google review this week. It's like, it's just not deep enough. So I get that. I've heard that. But you know what I've learned over the last 9 years? My responsibility is not to give you all a 7-course meal every single Sunday. My responsibility is to share with you what I know. And listen, for some of you, that may not be much, but I'm gonna share with you what I know. So listen, every week for what I bring to you guys, maybe for you, it might be an appetizer, but I will bring the appy, baby. I will bring the blooming onion. I will bring that. Yeah, guac and chips. I will bring the guac and chips, but you got to bring a fork. I'll bring the appy, you bring the fork, and you got to take the appetizer home, and you got to dig into that thing. You got to dig into the blooming onion, all right? You got to get your eyebrows greasy. Listen, you have got to open up your Bible. You've got to, like, listen to Maverick City music or Elevation Worship and turn off the Kanye. You have got to, like, live out, love your neighbor as yourself. And I don't know, but what I've noticed is the person who's mad at me because I talk about love your neighbor as yourself, they're not always that great at loving their neighbor. All right, I'm going to move on because I'm going to get them in trouble. But listen, the best way to have your best church experience isn't to blame a church, any church, for what you're not getting. The best way to have your best church experience is to be responsible for your part. And so you might say, well, I just want to go deeper. Well, you know, you should sign up to be one of our Bay Shore group leaders. And when somebody comes and asks me a question I don't understand, I'll be like, you know whose group you should go to? Bill's group, you know? So we all share a part. Or you might say, well, I just don't know anybody at this church. Well, you should go to our Munch Bunch group, which is next Sunday after church. And they're going to go to a local restaurant. And there's going to be like 20 people there, including Nate. And you can ask him to describe his underpants to you, okay? Because he's the one who got them. Or you might say, well, why is our church still in a basement? Can't we just go above ground already? Okay, we're going to go above ground. But if you just want to maybe donate a cool $4 million, we will buy the Weiss over here, okay? Like, we will put your statue in the lobby, like, what? Like, we will. You can pick your pose, whatever you want to do. You know, or you might say, well, you know, I was checking my kid in this morning at the Genius Bar thing he got out there, and there's nobody there to help me. I didn't like it. Well, I don't like that either, but if you just move over to the next kiosk, you can hit Take My Next Step, and you can be our check-in person from now on out. Like, wouldn't that be a win-win-win for everybody? Everybody wins. And so nobody at any church can do everything, but everybody can do something. And one of the best things that you can do to, like, take a part at Bay Shore is just pray for our church. Just pray for me. I'm going to be like selfish. Like, pray for me and our church. Pray that our church will keep reaching people for Jesus. Pray that, like, our church can help change Rehoboth Beach in some way. If you're praying for me, pray that God will keep me hungry and humble. Hungry and humble, okay? Hungry because I ain't done yet. Humble because this place is awesome and it ain't about me. And so hungry and humble, that's one of the best things you can do. And if you want to have your best church experience, celebrate it. There's so much to celebrate around here. If you want to have your best church experience, share in the responsibility. And so many of you do that. And so I just want to say thank you for that. Now, I'm going to end with this. But I just got back in March from our first cruise. Carnival Cruises, baby, the Horizon. Now, I went with my in-laws, and we just had an amazing time with them. I had two favorite things on the cruise ship. My favorite thing, number one, was Guy Ferrari's burger joint. Now, I didn't know who Guy was, so I'm like standing in line, so I took my phone, I'm like, Guy Ferrari, and I found a picture, and listen, this guy has the strongest hair tip game I have ever seen. That is like, and I'm not making fun of him. Listen, if you can make a burger like Guy Ferrari, you can have a mullet. You can have a perm. You can have a perm mullet with the frosted tips. Whatever you got to do. Like this guy. Anybody ever been on a cruise ship and had the Guy Fieri burger?
Yes. First thing I do.
First thing, man, it's so good. So on the cruise ship, you can find me at Guy Fieri's. Okay, I love that. The second favorite thing about the cruise was the Dr. Seuss water park. And I think we have a picture. Yeah. This is Dr. Seuss water park from our boat. And listen, this was for kids. I tore it up. I was at this, if I wasn't at Guy Fieri's, I was at the water park. I was like butting in front of kids. I was telling little kids that their mom needed them so they would get out of line. Like I was just like, get out of here, kids. I'm going down the slide. And one of my favorite things that you can't really see, but there's like this bucket right here. It's kind of like the Cat in the Hat kind of bucket. And it fills up with water. And every like 2 to 3 minutes, it like drops, and it'll drop like the whole Caribbean Sea on your head. And I just loved it, man. I don't know why. And so this is 100% true, all right? I just had a couple Guy Fieri burgers, so I was not in peak physical performance mode. But I had my burgers. I had gone down this slide that you had to use tubes for, and all the tubes go on this little thing right here in the corner of the screen. So I was putting this tube on the little tube holder thing, and I looked over, and the Cat in the Hat top hat was almost full. It was starting to tip. And I don't know what got into me, but I tapped into like 8-year-old Joel meets Chariots of Fire, okay? And I just took off, all right? And I didn't even hear this, but my father-in-law was standing right there, so he told me. He's like, the lifeguards stood up, and they started blowing the whistle, but I was like, and my dad, Bob Belly, was like, but I was going to get to that bucket drop zone. And when I got like right where this, white line is, my mind said, stop. But my body just kept on going. And no lie, I wiped out so bad. My feet went above my head. The lifeguards jumped up. My father-in-law thought I died, okay? And I just smacked the ground right under this thing so hard. But I was all adrenaline, so I was like, it was, I'll never forget that moment. And when the adrenaline wore off, I noticed that my little pinky toe hurt. And I looked down, and it was like, turned like 98 degrees, like I think I Nick-Lachey'd my pinky toe, all right? And so I'm like throwing the stanky leg out of there, and I walked to my wife, Stacy, and I'm like, I think I hurt my toe. And she's like, well, do you think you broke it? Now, men, once you get like, did I break it? No, it ain't broken. Then like 2 minutes later, I was like, honey, I think I broke my toe. That or my toenail ended up on the bottom of my toe. I don't really know how it happened. But what's crazy is it still hurts. I don't know if I broke it or not, but it was jacked up, and it still hurts 6 weeks later. And like, you would think your little toe, like that's not that big of a deal. It's just your little toe. But have you ever hurt like a little part of you and like your whole body, like it hurts at doing anything? Has this ever happened to you? I'm like shaving, and I'm like, why does my toe hurt? I'm shaving. It's a toe. And I tell you all that because I want to tell you this. Every part of the body matters. Every part of the body matters. We know that from the toe story, but every part of the body matters. If you sleep wrong and you hurt your neck or you kink your neck, that is like makes a big difference. And every part of the body matters. And I want to tell you that because I want you to know at Bay Shore, you matter. You matter. You are part of the church, also known as the body of Christ. And every part of the body of this church matters. I don't care if you grew up in the crib as a Christian and you were reading Leviticus in the crib. Or I don't care if last weekend was when you gave your life to Jesus and you smoked weed last night. All the Leviticus people just got... I don't care if you're not even a Christian and you're here and you're like, I don't really know if I believe in this yet. I'm going to put a yet there. But I want you to know, no matter what, every person at Bay Shore matters because everybody matters to Jesus and every part of the body matters. And you, every one of you have a place here. You matter, you have a place here, you have gifts to give here. And you might say, well, I don't really have anything. I don't really have anything I can give. Your presence, that's a gift. You being here, it's a gift to me. It's a gift to our church. And just the way you guys show up every single weekend, it's a gift to me. You guys park at, who knows where you park. You park at Giant. Somebody 2 weekends ago parked at the Aldi. But you parked far to get here. You guys, the volunteers on Easter showed up at 6:30 in the morning. And not only on Easter, they show up every single weekend. You guys teach my kids about Jesus every single weekend. It's a gift. You guys have given over $500,000 so we can go above ground. That's a gift. The way you treat me and my family is a gift. The three toughest dudes in our church, Butch, Bo Dukes, Phil Hudson, wherever Phil is, these are the toughest three dudes in our church. And I can tell you, almost every single day, I get the kindest, most encouraging text message from one of these three guys. Just encouraging me. And there's no words for me. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being the church. And I know I'm a pastor here, but whether I was or wasn't, this is my church. And I'm proud. I'm proud that this is my church. Are you proud that this is your church? I'm proud that this is my church. I'm proud of you guys. And honestly, if right now this is still a church to you, that's okay. That there's a journey for you in that. And this may not be the church for you, and that is also okay. We are for your faith journey wherever that leads you to. But we hope you get connected in a good local church, whether that's here or somewhere else, because I believe the church is the hope of the world, and the church has been the hope of my world. And so I just want to invite you to that if you don't have a church. So let me pray for you guys. Jesus, I'm thankful that it was your idea to start the church. And the church is messy. It started out messy in Acts, and it's still messy today. Church will always be messy because we're messy. But what's amazing about you, Jesus, is you love us anyway. And you're with us in the mess. And so, God, I just thank you for this messy church that I'm so blessed and honored to be a part of. And God, it's a gift to me. All these people in this room are a gift to me. And they're a gift to you, God. And I just pray that we'll walk out of here knowing we're part of something special, not because we're a church in the basement, not because of this or that. We're part of something special because this was your idea. Church was your idea. And so, God, I just pray that we'll just find a place here. And this won't just be a church to so many of us. This will be my church. This will be my place that I call home, that I lock into. I grow roots here. And God, there's so many people who have already done that in this place, and I'm thankful for it. And our church is what it is because of you and because of the people who are in it. So God, I just pray for our future, wherever that takes us, God. I pray that you'll blow our minds. It'll be beyond our wildest dreams, God. And I can't wait to see what you have for us in the future. But in the now, we're just thankful for you, Lord, and what you've done in this place. In Jesus' name, we all said, amen, amen.